Today we're going to be looking into Google Form, right? So previously we've talked about Google Documents, Google Sheet, and now today we're talking about Google Form, right? So you might not be using this every day, right? It depending on you know, the founder or the person you are assisting, right? Depending on your boss, depending on the nature of the work, right? You're doing, right? But it's a very important tool you must learn how to use, okay, as a virtual assistant. So navigating your way through Google Form, or you can easily find your Google Form, where you see other Google applications here. So here's my Google Form. I click on it. So this is how the interface is going to look like for you if you've not used Google Form, right, before, or you've not used it on that particular email that you want to create your Google Form on, right? So this is how it's going to look like. Google, as always, will always give you different, always provide templates for you. So you can go through the templates, right? Trust me, these templates are really, really nice, right? You don't need to stress yourself creating a form from scratch, right? You just need to go through the templates and see if you can find anything that suits what you're about to create, right? So, for instance, if you're looking to create, a simple form to just collect personal contacts, right? You can just use this template. If you use it, it has quite a lot. You know what? Let's try. But we're not going to use any of the templates because we're going to be creating ours from scratch. That's where you know how to navigate your way through Google Form. So this is what you're going to see once you click on the blank form, right? I usually start by naming my form. So I'm going to use this. This is a test. Okay. So you need to name your form according to the name of the project, right? Okay. So Google is trying to give me directive here since I've not really used this Google form on this email before, right? So this is where you can customize your theme. Okay. This way you can customize the font you're going to be using for the text, for the header. This is the header, right? This, right, you can customize the text you're going to be using for the question. These are the questions, okay? Anything below this header are the questions. So this is where you're going to be customizing, the text. These are the text, right? You're going to be, you know, so you can also decide to include a header image, right? This should not just be any image, right? Make sure you know the right size for Google Form header image. You can browse that on Google, okay? Or you can also choose from their available, theme they have. So they have quite good themes, but if maybe you're trying to brand the form, right? So you need to use something that represents your brand or represents whatever represents the form you're trying to create. Okay, this is where you can add colors, right? You can see and can choose, just to customize your form, right? This is for background, right? I can decide to use all white, right? All these are just for customizing your form, okay? Next is for preview, right? So probably you're done with, creating your form and you want to see how it will be like. This is where you get to see how it will be like, okay? So we go out of here. Next is to undo and redo, right? Remember, you can always use what Ctrl Z, right, to undo something. Okay, this is when you want to copy the link, the shareable link you're going to give to people that are going to fill the form. This is if you want to share the form or you want to add other people, right? You want to add other people to to review the form with you, or you want to add people to actually fill the form directly, right? And this is where you publish the form. So once you publish the form, the links become usable. The links, people can now fill the form using the link that you shared to them right? Because if you don't publish the form, right, no matter the link you use because if you don't publish this form, people will not be able to um, fill the form. So you must publish the form once you're done for people to be able to fill the form. Okay. Now, this is where you check the responses that have been gotten, right? You can also link this to a sheet, right? So you can decide to create a new sheet, or you can link it to an old sheet or a sheet that is designated for this particular form. Okay. So let's try clicking on it. So this is the option it's going to give you. Option one is either Google automatically creates a new sheet for you, or you have to select an existing or a previous sheet designated for this form. So this let's move into the settings. Sometimes it's important to check the settings so that if there are anything you need to make changes, right? One thing I like making changes is the message the message that is being sent, right? Once the message that is being sent, once the form is filled, yeah. So usually you know, I like editing this message, right? So after the form has been submitted, I just like putting in exactly what I want them to receive. So probably it could be thank you for filling the form. Remember, this depends on the project or the form you're working on, right? This text will be totally different for you, right? Depending on your need. Okay. So I think that's pretty much. Then I go to the question and you start editing or formatting your form based on the need or the form you're trying to create, right? So here is what is going to help you, right? These options that you see here, what is going to help you, right, while creating your form. So let's say, for instance, you're trying to create a question or you're trying to create something that requires people to choose multiple answers, right? You need to click on this multiple choices, right? This makes it easy for people to choose multiple answers, right? Because you can just, put the options there and they'll be able to, select them. So next, if you want, to create a section where people will just put in short response, right? Probably you're asking them their name, right? Or their address or something, that just requires a one line answer. Yes, this is the option to use. But if it requires something that will require people to write more than a line or two, then this paragraph is the best for it. So, for instance, you want people to write a statement, right? Then this option is the best for it. So, if you want people, to check, probably select their options, right? Then this checkbox is the best for it, right? Because this way people are able to, check the right answers they want. Now, if you want people to be able to, you know, um, just select one response, right? You just want them to select one response, then this drop down is definitely it. Okay. If you want people to upload a file, right, then you need to click this file upload. Okay. If you want people to, if you want the question to be on a scale, on a linear scale. So, for instance, you might have seen those form where they will ask you to choose between 1 to 10, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, which is this or which is that. So this is it. So let's click on it. You will see, okay, to give you a scale, then you put whatever it is you want to put in here. So if you also want to use, I know you want to rate people to rate something or rate the You want the people to rate, right? The options that you give, right? You need to use this rating feature, right? That way they can rate and choose, the ratings. So this is, it all depends on what you want, right? I think Google Form is one of the most simplest of all to create because you just keep on testing it, until you get the right ones that's the right feature that suits your need, right? Okay. I'm just going to take you all throughout different feature. It all depends on what you're trying to create, right? That is what is going to determine the feature you're going to use. Okay. So this is if you want to, want them to impute the date and the time. Okay, these are the features to use. So if, for instance, you want to move to a new question, all you just have to do is click here to add question. You see, it's going to add another section, another question for you. This is if you want to import question, right? This is for adding title and descriptions. This is for adding images, okay? This is for adding videos, right? This is very used because of the file size. Okay? This is for adding sections. For instance, if the form is going to have like different sections, this is where you need to add, section your questions into and like section your questions. Okay. Then down below here is if you want the question to be um, compulsory, right? You need to check this. If you don't check it, then it's possible people will decide whether or not to actually attend to that question or not. Okay. If you want to delete, this particular question, you can delete it here. If you want to duplicate it, you can duplicate it here. Over here, if you want to, add a description, probably you want to explain further why they should answer the question, or you want to give further explanation about the question, right? You can do that. You can include, the description here below. So I think this is basically all that there is to Google Form. If you think that, there's other things that you want me to look into or you want me to explain further on, kindly drop your question in the comment section and I'll be happy to attend to them. Okay? Bye bye.